Months had passed since the unforgettable grocery store incident, but the story had taken on a life of its own. Ava's community dialogue initiative had grown from a small circle of neighbors to a citywide movement called Together We Rise. The meetings now rotated among different locations across Compton, and the conversations attracted people from all walks of life. Snoop Dogg's involvement became a cornerstone of the movement. Though he didn't attend every meeting, his presence and words at key moments continued to inspire and unify. He saw the impact firsthand as young people, like Ava, stepped up to lead with courage and purpose. Mrs. Thompson's transformation. Meanwhile, Mrs. Thompson was undergoing her own quiet transformation. After years of clinging to outdated views, her exposure to new perspectives at the dialogues had begun to change her outlook. One evening, she invited her daughter Eleanor and her grandchildren over for dinner. As they sat around the table, she cleared her throat nervously. "There's something I need to tell you all," she began, her voice trembling. "I've spent a lot of my life looking at the world through a narrow lens. But I've been trying to change that." Eleanor raised an eyebrow, clearly surprised. "Mom, this isn't like you. What brought this on?" Mrs. Thompson hesitated, then decided to tell the truth. "It was something that happened at the grocery store. A man, Snoop Dogg, called me out on my ignorance. I've been going to these community meetings ever since, and they've opened my eyes." Her grandson, a teenager named Daniel, couldn't hide his shock. "Wait, the Snoop Dogg, Grandma, you yelled at Snoop Dogg?" Mrs. Thompson gave a sheepish nod. "I did, and it was wrong. But he taught me something that day about listening, about learning. And I'm trying to do better." Daniel grinned. "Well, that's wild, Grandma. But I'm proud of you for owning up to it." Eleanor reached out and squeezed her mother's hand. "I am too," she said. "It takes a lot of courage to admit when you're wrong." Snoop's next move. As the Together We Rise movement gained traction, Snoop saw an opportunity to expand its reach. He partnered with local leaders, including Ava and Marcus, to host a larger event, a Unity Festival. The festival would feature live music, food vendors, art installations, and workshops aimed at fostering understanding and celebrating diversity. Snoop used his platform to promote the event, even dedicating a segment of his podcast to talk about it. "This ain't just about Compton," he said during one episode. "It's about showing the world what's possible when people come together with open minds and open hearts." The announcement sparked excitement across the city. Local businesses offered sponsorships, artists volunteered their time, and schools encouraged students to participate. The Unity Festival. The day of the festival arrived, and the energy was palpable. Hundreds of people gathered at a sprawling park in Compton, the air buzzing with excitement. Stages were set up for performances, while booths lined the park offering everything from cultural food to handmade crafts. Snoop arrived early, dressed in a casual outfit that still exuded his signature style. He walked through the crowd, stopping to chat with attendees and take photos. When he reached Ava, she greeted him with a bright smile. "Can you believe this?" she asked, gesturing to the bustling scene around them. Snoop chuckled. "I can. This is what happens when good people step up." Later that afternoon, Snoop took the main stage. The crowd erupted in cheers as he stepped up to the mic, his presence larger than life. "Why, all already know what this is about," he began, his voice commanding but warm. "This ain't about me. This ain't about any one person. It's about us, about building something real, something that lasts. Together, we rise." And together, we change the game. The crowd roared in response, their cheers echoing through the park. A reunion. As the festival wound down, Mrs. Thompson arrived. She had debated coming all day, unsure if she would be welcome. But something in her heart told her she needed to be there. She spotted Snoop near one of the art booths, talking to a group of kids. Summoning her courage, she walked over. "Mr. Dogg," she said softly. Snoop turned, his eyes widening slightly in recognition. "Mrs. Thompson," he said, his tone calm. "It's good to see you here." She nodded, her hands trembling slightly. "I wanted to thank you for what you said that day. It made me see things differently. And I'm sorry for what I said to you." Snoop studied her for a moment, then offered a warm smile. "Thank you for saying that. It takes a lot to come back and make things right." They stood there for a moment, an unspoken understanding passing between them. It was a moment of closure, but also a new beginning. A lasting legacy. The Unity Festival became an annual tradition, drawing even more people each year. The Together We Rise movement spread to other cities, inspiring similar initiatives across the country. Snoop continued to use his influence to promote unity and understanding, proving that even the smallest moments like a confrontation in a grocery store could spark meaningful change. As for Mrs. Thompson, she became one of the movement's most dedicated supporters, using her own story to inspire others to confront their biases and grow. The incident that had once been a source of tension became a symbol of hope, a reminder that change is possible when we choose to listen, learn, and rise together.